Okay, and good night. Good night, everybody. Welcome to the Fatherhood Think Tank, where minds of fathers come together to what I would like to say, come together to really discuss um, things that affect men, fathers, family, and what I like to really say, the whole community. This is the Fatherhood Think Tank, and we're here another Tuesday night at seven o'clock. And when people say, "Hey, I was at 7 o'clock," well, 7 o'clock can sometimes be 7:15. We have a curtain time, and then we have a show time. And so just to welcome you here tonight to the night show. Um, I am Dr. Ron, the curator of the Fatherhood Think Tank. I'm going to pass this over to the fathers so they can introduce themselves. But as I'm doing so, I'm just going to share with you a little bit about what tonight's show is about, and also remind you about how you can get involved with the Fatherhood Think Tank and get involved with what we have going on, how you can see the show, all of these things. So one of the big things is you can join us, like, share, subscribe. We are live on Facebook and YouTube simultaneously, both under Fatherhood Think Tank. So you can find those sites and join them, and really like and subscribe so you can get the ding when the time comes for you to participate and join in. And tonight's topic is one that, hey, if you've seen the pin now, it is don't make problems if there are none. And that's one that I think is vital to our community today. Kind of making up a problem that may not really be there, especially for fathers. Even some fathers who are going through trying to be in the right place with their kids, even in our everyday life as fathers, not really having the ability to separate that from being a problem or something becoming a problem when it's not really a problem. And I'm sure that we will get deep into that, because I know that this conversation sparks a lot of things. So let me move over to the fathers tonight who's here. Let them introduce themselves, and let's get this thing going.
Hey, good afternoon, gentlemen. My name is Lionel Lightborn. I'm a father to a tribe of 7 young adults, 4 young men, 3 young women, 2 grandchildren, and it's always a pleasure to be here. Oh yeah, Ron, is this topic anything like similar to "Don't Start Nothing, Won't Be Nothing"? No.
And listen, it falls into that same category.
Good evening, everyone. Donald Jones, divorced father of 2, but a blended family of 7. Currently coming back, and glad that the series is back right now. Ready to talk to the fellas and see how everything's been going. Good evening.
I think Rohan's trying to unmute himself. I'll go ahead and go. My name's Ed Tenney. I am a father to a blended family of 6, 3 biologicals, 3 steps, and I got 2 grandbabies, and that's it.
All right. Good evening, fathers. I'm a divorced father of 2 young ladies, and I am here to share knowledge and to learn and to grow as the journey changes with my daughters from childhood to now adulthood.
Hey, brothers, and I'm so committed to this. that I'm in a store and I'm still logged in. This brother Johnny Gaspar. I'm a father of two beautiful young adults, 21 and 26, and I'm always grateful to be here with these brothers to share and learn. So thank y'all for having this, Ron, for doing what you do, for you men for coming on, and we're gonna have a great show tonight. And I'm gonna take my face off just as I walk around the grocery store.
It's okay. No, good. That's no problem. That's good. Long as you're here, and I think this is a valid point that we'll say to many fathers who may say, "Hey, I might be somewhere. I don't know if I want to come on. I can't be in a space." This is why we have a virtual. Listen, one of the great parts about one of the good things that happened in COVID, we learned to be able to do things virtually, and that you could use technology to the advantage to connect and get together with people in a way that you hadn't gotten together with people in the past. I mean, I think about the number of people I know that had virtual funerals, and I think those funerals were way more interactive because you had to interact, to participate in. Usually go to a funeral, everybody got their places to go, whatever, but people could really attend. And so kind of sort of like this, if fathers want to be a part and be on stage and want to listen and want to be in the audience, call in. If you're not, you can always, as I say, use your devices and listen on YouTube at the Fatherhood Think Tank YouTube page. Listen on the Facebook page, my personal YouTube page, because I'm streaming it. And if you look at some of the guys, they're able to stream this to their pages, so it can be on their pages. But we want to get the message out. So again, like, share, subscribe to this wonderful topic. So, gentlemen, tonight I just want to go ahead and jump right into it and ask that question about that time that you realized something wasn't a problem, so you didn't make it a problem, and you just went ahead and moved on. Because I think that, and I'm prefacing that because so often in the society we live in today, everything's a problem. At the slightest resistance, the slightest incident, it becomes a major blow up, and everybody got to get tight and right and all of this. So what I'm saying is thinking about, as fathers and as men, describe times that this is really what we did, not just we just having a show talk about it, but we really did, realize that something wasn't that much of a problem, so we let it go.
Interesting.
Well, you want an example?
Yeah, give your experience of a time.
Okay, I'm gonna give a very
that might have happened, like you did that or it occurred.
I'm gonna give a very controversial example. I remember when I was actually out the blue. I'm talking about just impromptu put on child support. Right, had never been on child support before in my life. With this particular kid, out of all of my 7, I was like the most involved. So the shock of being put on child support, didn't even see it coming. I was blindsided by it. And so I went to the hearing. And I think between the hearing, right, and the knowing that I was going to get, I was, petitioned to be put on child support, right between the knowing and the hearing I was actually scheduled to go to, there was a process, right, of weighing everything. Because if I had leaned more to the fact that I was doing more right by this particular child than any child I had, just to be put on child support at this particular point in my life, I would have been back at this topic. But pleasantly and surprisingly, when I went to the hearing, and once I got closure with it within myself, not with the mother, within myself, I realized that at that particular moment, I was actually blessed and prepared to pay what they was asking me to pay. And so I was getting ready to make something more than it really was, and didn't realize that, you got exactly what you need to meet this moment. But if I was to make that moment bigger than what I had, you understand? It would have went totally different. So what happened was this was the judge, or better yet, the magistrate or whoever does the child support hearing. Their response was, "This is the most." They said this was the most celebrated, the most happiest child support hearing and process we ever had in the whole like time they've been there. They said it ain't never went. Put it like this: we was in there for less than 15 minutes. I said yes to everything. They asked her did she want the rears. I think she was like, "Nah, I didn't want the rears." You know, because I guess I was there, but then again, at the same time, like, why would you want rears for something that don't you understand? You didn't even have to be here for. But that's not my plight, because what I had to realize is you can't control how you treat people. I mean, how people treat you, but you can control how you treat people. And that's when I started to see myself growing up. And actually, that child support is one of the pivotal moments of growth for me, because I didn't think I was going to be able to have the guts or the love or whatever the strength it may have taken to actually be what I was at that moment, right? To get that type of child support outcome. And coincidentally, I did the child support. I was on it until my child turned 18 years old, and they end up child support actually end up owing me 10 payments at the end. And truthfully, child support paid me back all 10 payments, because what happened is we had moved, and so I didn't get the letter that's telling me that, oh, your child's turning 18, so child support is ended. I didn't get that letter. And so they had like 10 months worth of payments stored up for me, and they gave me back all 10 months. So that's a blessing. So it's amazing how what they say, you put good in, you get good out. And I took a chance and a risk, and it took faith to really come to that. Like, you know what, I'm gonna approach this child support here with a positive outlook than a negative. And guess what? It's been positive. The whole experience was positive from beginning to end. So that's just my don't make up problems where they are.
Well, like going with what you just said is something I think a lot of fathers need to actually hear in reference to child support, right? And so often child support gets this kind of like um, bad bad rap, and probably because a lot of times it comes in a bad rapper, right? It's the rapper that it's a really good thing, but sometimes it's how it's presented and how it comes to be a bad thing, you know. And so when those dads are getting involved and they seeing it, it is almost seen as a major problem until you see the benefit of it and what it does for you. I think here that's one benefit you see, and I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna, as you're saying, as other fathers thinking about what they want to say, I'm gonna give a story about child support in that same way of how child support was kind of deemed as a bad thing, but at the end it became something that was wonderful. I had a partner of mine who got divorced. When he got divorced, his wife was getting child support from him, for his daughter. So and his wife, wasn't hurting, so she didn't get like no alimony and stuff like that. She just got the child support. She didn't get any of that. I mean, I think she was doing somewhat even better than him. So it came time close to the end. The daughter was time ready to go to school, college, and so the mom, they called a meeting, and the mom was saying, Dad was talking to the daughter, and he was saying, I don't know how we're gonna do the school thing, because I don't know if I got that much for the school, this, that, and the other. And he was like, he knew it was gonna be a problem because mom, sometimes felt like the mom was kind of like about the money. He kind of felt that's what she was, the money thing. And this is where sometimes when we're not communicating with our co-parents and the way we should, we make presumptions about how they are and how they operate and what they're doing because they're not doing it with us. And come to find out, when they got finally to sit down and have a conversation, he said, I done been paying all this child support and all this other stuff trying to. And she said, you don't have to worry anything about her college money. And he said, well, what you talking about? I mean, we're going to have to take a loan. He said, now I have to do any of that because every child support you paid was put in a checking account for this.
Wow. Wow.
And
Yeah.
the brother, in the telling the story to us, he said at that moment he was saying, maybe I need to get remarried to her. But then that's a little joke. And that's what we're talking about. That a lot of times they had a communication of working, and the child support wasn't mandated from the court. It was kind of like it was what they agreed to do, and see what that agreement happened because the mom really didn't need that money to take care of her. And it's one of them things that we see all the time. Dads do take care of their kids when they with them. They do this. It's not the child support really became a major savings account that then benefited the child later on beyond the developmental 0 to 18 time. So, it's those kind of things. And people can do, people do things like that all the time. I know for myself, that's something I've done for my child. There's investments I've made for my child from the time she was born. Because if something happened to me, that she would know that regardless whatever thing is going on, whatever difficulties, whatever connection, whatever thing happened, she'd know that I was planning and thinking about her and her future at all times. And those are the kind of things you have to really be, thinking about and working on. And because what we do in this situation, that same thing you're talking about is I could have said this was a problem. And I made it compounded and worse, saying I ain't doing none of that. I ain't doing nothing. I ain't getting this. I ain't getting that. Forget that. And that then becomes, that kind of that problem that wasn't a problem because I was gonna, if everything was good, I was still gonna do it. So now I'm being petty to say I ain't doing it now because everything ain't going my way, and really making a problem that's not really a problem. So I definitely hear that, and I definitely believe in that. Let me go to somebody else. Maybe who can share another experience like that, so we can kind of really get into that.
Well, let me add one real quick. Yeah, with problem, it's such a common word today. Everyone in this room and out there in the social media world, in the media world, know the word problem, right? Some problem is to be solved. Some problems are not your problems. Some problems are given to you whether you like it or not. But one experience I've had with problems was a situation occurred where I was not involved. And what sometimes happens is called displaced anger, which is an emotion, and the person come to you with their problems, right? And yes, there is a problem, but I have nothing to do with that problem. So in some cases in our society today, there's that displaced anger where people are like a balloon, and if you happen to fly past them or go across their path, the balloon explodes. So some of those problems really is not mine. I didn't create the problem. Mind you, I have empathy if you are willing to communicate or you want to vent, but some problems there's none because it's really not my problem. But unfortunately, I might have intervened. And I can give you a story. We had a guy at a local store, Walmart. There was two people. There was a relationship between two employees, and the father said with his child, "Hey, father, chill. A guy to a guy. Hey, chill, man. We don't. A child is here. We don't want to create a problem." And he took out a gun and shot the guy. Now, the problem he had with his girlfriend, here's someone, a stranger, who sees the situation and maybe jokingly intervene or try to de-escalate, and he lost his life. So in that case, there was a problem. He probably tried to assist with the problem, and look what was it? Look what was the ending. So the word problems, sometimes we want to find solutions for a problem, but be very mindful of the situation that you get involved in, because it can be very dangerous. So the topic: don't make up a problem if there are none, but in most times there is a problem, and sometimes the problems are told to you, and sometimes the problems are not told to you. But it's just part of life. We end up in certain situations at times where if we were to do it over again, we would do better. Does that make sense? So, food for thought.
No, you know what? Coincidentally, I know that situation you was talking about at Broward, in that particular Walmart shooting that took the life of that young father who tried to intervene. Now, here's the other side of that because they interviewed the. Matter of fact, he was at the store with his significant other and his child. So he was at the store with the mother of his child and his child when he saw the two couples, they're going back and forth. What happened was, and this is the part that if you're going to tell, we're going to tell the whole story is, um, it didn't become a problem because when he did was he intervened in the problem that he didn't listen to his significant other or the mother of his child not get into it. So wisdom did intervene on his behalf. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
But I think what he didn't realize, and again, I'm in social services, so I'm trained to notice this. I know that the biggest problem from law enforcement or for a law enforcement officer to be hurt is a domestic violence situation. I already know that, hands down. It's like one of the number one or between the top three incidents that'll get a police officer or law enforcement officer killed is a domestic violence situation. And so, if that will happen for a law enforcement officer, imagine what predicament a citizen will put himself because the emotion. As a matter of fact, I don't think it's even accurately studied yet how high the emotions are in domestic violence to the effect that they will actually cost you your life. And so the mother of his child did try to tell him no, let's just call the police or do something else, do another intervention, but don't get into that. And the minute he got into it is exactly so sometimes, not sometimes, I would think most times, and this is where we have to listen to our partners and the wisdom of women. Because if here's it, she's a woman and she's telling you not to intervene on another woman's behalf, she had a wisdom at that time, right, that he didn't take the advice for, and it cost him his life. And so this is why you have to really assess the value of everybody you're with in relationship with and know when to delegate authority. And guess what? And this is the part I love about the Bible, because the Bible says, wives, submit to your husband. But the Bible also tells husbands to submit to their wives.
Mm-hmm.
And had he submit to his wife, or better yet, the mother of his child at that time, that young man would still be alive. And so that's what I don't want to make it seem like it was just something that was blind. There was cause and effect in that whole situation. And that's, I guess I want to give a better view of that story than just he just died senselessly, because no, it was a lot of sense made out of that. We just don't make sense when we, talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Right.
like Boy, you said what you're saying. Listen, and that is important. I think that's one of the most important things that happen, is because sometimes you might want to save the world, but we talked about this last week. You got to save yourself first. So now your partner loses you, your child loses you, because you want to help somebody who you don't even really know if they want your help, right? You don't know if they really want your help. Somebody could tell you they want your help. They could scream and fuss and fight and holler and say, "Help me! Oh my God!" And you come, and then as you begin to help and do all the things you need to do, what happens? They be like, "Oh, the two of them leave, and you be landing. You land next thing. We bringing flowers and so singing for you, and they listen. They hitting that person up while that person in prison, saying, "I'm waiting on my man to come back." And that you just gotta be careful of what you get involved with, based on what you can lose. And I think this is a big problem of making problems that's not that important, because there's so many. Johan, we say this all the time. You got choices, but can you handle the consequences of your choices? Because you don't control the consequence. See, the consequence could have thought for this brother was he get in the fight or whatever, but the consequences is that he leaves his family without their male figure, without their leader.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what happens to his daughter at this point after the traumatic experience she had of seeing this? What happens to his partner? You know, sometimes we have to be thinking. We have to, you know. I could call the police definitely. Listen, because that's their job, really. My job is to talk to people in a nice, cushy room with, with couches, right? You know, even in that place, if something go wrong, I'm hitting the 911 button, or the 411, 211, or somebody SOS. I'm not trying to handle that because that's not my lane.
That's right. You know, and another thing we can do too, if you see danger, and you know, many people have their cell phones now, you can use your cell phone and record. If it is safe to do so, you can do that, because we've seen where the cell phone has been used to be advantageous to certain law enforcement and to certain people. So you're right. Intervening, which is the norm, which is human, but at some point in time, I always say this. I use the word stop. Whenever you're stressed, just stop. It's simple. Just stop. Stop, think, observe, and proceed. If you follow those words, you may, during that time, you make some wise decisions. But if we don't stop, like most people run the red light or the stop sign, they just roll by the stop sign. The stop sign is there for a reason. It doesn't go away. It's always there. So if we just stop sometimes when we are in certain situations, we can make better decisions. Yep.
Come on, Ed. I see the wheels going on over there. I need them, Ed. Come on, Ed.
I was just thinking, as I kind of do a cursory overview of, my entire life with my kids, it's kind of interesting. It's like the older I got, and the older the kids got, it seemed like the problems were not as severe. I just seem to remember being anxious, for a lot of things when those kids were younger. I don't know if that is just the nature of youth or being youth-minded. Well, the kids are grown and gone now. I only have, really, one teenager at the house. But man, when I think about problems, I don't know. Maybe it's an experiential thing. The problems just don't seem to be as insurmountable as they used to be. I just remember, being a young adult with these young kids, and man, it just seemed like, problems were everywhere. Schooling, education, social interaction, with the girl, raising her to be a good young lady, with the boys, raising them to be, upstanding young men, just all of this, they weren't even, there yet to be a problem. It's just that I, was just thinking about those things. But as time has moved on, maybe I'm just, an old curmudgeon and just lazy now. But I guess there are still problems. They just don't seem to be as deep as they used to be.
Mm-hmm. The opposite word of problems would be solution, right? People sometimes create problems and people try to find solution. That's the general term, right? Now, solution is needed because some people can't dissolve their problems. And that's where maybe the law enforcement comes in. And maybe that's where some other form of help comes in to find a solution. But most times you have to identify the problem, because not every problem is written on the wall. Some problems are way, way deeper than you can see. And it's important that we communicate clearly if we can. If we have the skill to listen, to understand, and communicate effectively, we can find solutions. Because some problems they're just not written on the wall. They're there, but what's being displayed is really not the problem. So there are many ways to look at this topic tonight. Many, many different ways.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Rohan. Is that because so much when we look at relationships, we can say, or we will, present something to be the issue, and it's really not the issue, right? It is a defense mechanism of something else that is affecting us. Are we responding to things that sometimes we really responded to, one of your favorite words, feelings, but how we feel, and then we respond to something, not really taking a good analysis of how that's going to play out for later, what's going to happen, how will that occur. Listen, we can all get up in arms about something and go say we're going to storm the Capitol, right? Right. But in the reality of it is there is a cooler head that will prevail and say, okay, we're going to storm the Capitol. What's going to happen next? And really, how is that not making it more of a problem for us than the problem we think that we already have? And I think that, and I'll say this very clearly, sometimes I would say to especially Black fathers in general, but Black fathers have to be very mindful of the stereotypical ideas that people have about us, and that would then go into just being a Black man, that you are aggressive, that anything you do may be seen as aggressive, or something may happen that may immediately need police attention. That someone is fearing for their life because your voice may be raised a little bit. And so now the question is, I want to solve my problem, but will I make my problem compounded and make it a worse situation? That doesn't mean we don't address things and get things addressed, but we have to be thinking about how we address them and being strategic. And for me, everything is about being strategic nowadays. It's not, I know everybody used to say, I come out here Rambo style and shoot the arrow and throw the knife, pop the gun. That's not how we're going to really get something done and taken care of. We have to be strategic. We have to think and plan. And, even at some point, we got to go and put what we want to say to somebody in chat TPT, CPT, put it in chat, AI, and then get it back, and then we read it off the paper, just so we don't have no, and then again, I know that sounds like, hey, why are you doing all that? But sometimes, there are problems that need to be resolved, but sometimes our position there can make the problem bigger than what it is. And not because, and this is the part I want to say more, not because of us, but because of the other person's perception about us, or what they feel about us, or what people we may not be like them, and then that becomes a bigger problem. So,
But you know what, Ron, and you know what, and I love this saying, particularly in mental health. And you know me, I'm 50% of a fan of mental health, and I'm 50% of foe of mental health, right? And I love the part when they say it's okay to be okay. What do you say? It's okay to not be okay. Oh, that's like really popular, right? Which is true. And I'm like, and guess what? I would say that advice to a Black man as well. I'm like, I don't have to, if I'm not okay, you understand? I don't have to find a way to, the right way to not be okay. If I'm not okay, I'm not okay. And guess what? You should prepare yourself to deal with that. And so I remember the majority of my problems, and guess what? I think John Lewis said it best. There's certain things that's good trouble, and I believe in good trouble, and I believe in good problems. I'm pretty sure we done did 100 and something episodes. Y'all would know that by now. But again, more than talking about it, I can live it because I got so many stories about good trouble we got into. And I remember, and then guess what? It doesn't. You don't plan to get in these troubles. It just presents itself. It's just time. Even the Bible said, "A man days are short, but those days are full of trouble." And so, it's how you manage your troubles is really what you're gonna be judged by. And so, I believe the majority of trouble I got into was never really for myself. It was always for somebody else. When I look back on it, and so I remember this one particular time. I got this friend, well, ex-friend right now, and he I remember I said, wow, we're such bodacious and bold, and we're lions in our community, right? We're lions in our community amongst each other. So he rented this car and he went to take the car back. I remember the day was raining, and naturally, so if the day is raining, you're gonna have what you call foot dirt on the floor mats.
Mhm.
And so I'm watching the white people come in and they're just dropping their cars off and they're leaving, right? No problem. He comes in because he's got the dreads, the wickets, and all that, the goals and all that. He comes to drop his rental car off, and they told him, "Oh, we may have to charge you extra because the car is dirty."
Mhm.
Now I'm looking, I'm like, okay. I'm like, now, and I went, me, I had to go back to the car to make sure that their assessment is accurate. So I go and I see the natural floor because it's raining. You got floor, dirt from wet sand being on the bottom of your feet, and that's it. And the people out there cleaning the cars out as they return them. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like, I don't see what you see. So I came back and I'm like, hey, man. I'm like, listen. I'm like, man, you're not gonna charge him that. And so the guy, he gets shocked, like, oh, wow. I guess he was used to getting away with it, or whatever the case may be. So when somebody speaks up about it, I'm like, you're not going to charge them no extra money because everybody's returning their cars. Everybody I'm pretty sure have the same floor dirt that is on the that's on his floor, his floor mats. Well, we got to change it for. I said, you're not going to charge anything. Oh well, if you have to leave because we're going to call the police. And this is what they really found the right one that particular day, because they just assumed when you tell a black man I'm going to call the police, that we go into immediate retreat. And he found out that day was the complete opposite. So of course I'm like, I threw a few MFs out. I'm gonna call the MF police and this and that, and I'll be right here waiting. And so sure enough, I waited till the police came, and the police did come, and we the police, they got both sides of our stories. And long story short, the police ended up being on our side because they're like, yeah, they're trying. He said, and the police told me sidebar. He said, don't rent for these people no more. Literally. Now this is a white police officer. He said, don't rent for these police. I was like, so what I saw was accurate. I'm like, yeah, you was profiling and you just assumed, oh, these are bunch of young black ignorant Negroes, and you can do what you want to do. And so, and I think later on, after me and my friend had a falling out, I got really disappointed because I come back to that moment to know, like, wow, you was getting ready to become a slave to that situation, right? Back then, that we stood together for. You was getting ready to let them charge yourself. I say, but when it came to really standing up for our friendship or standing up for the things that's worth standing up for, then you became gangster. So you never really became gangster with the stuff that you should become gangster for. You became gangster where the things are comfortable for you to become gangster for. And that's why our friendship is.
Wow.
And so that's the problem I had with that situation. And I mean, I could think about so many other situations, but I'm going to leave that one right there.
Good one.
I see
Tyson.
Tay in the house. Good night, my brother. Welcome. You can do your introduction, a little small introduction. And I don't know who is CHMS.
Hey, hi, good after or good evening. My name is actually Mario. I'm sorry, I logged into the wrong account. I'm a partner of Castro. not sure if Castor's on the call right now.
Oh, you're in the right account.
Yo, okay.
He's here.
You're in the right place. You're in the right place then. You
Oh,
say the
right.
name,
I
that's
apologize.
the secret
Oh,
password. You say the name, they get.
oh, oh, right. I apologize for not turning on my camera. Y'all caught me as I'm driving in the highway right now.
Oh, that's okay. There's no problem. We just like to just make sure if you here and you want to be able to say something, we want to let you know that this is an open forum. It's not a webinar. It's not a selected panel. This is a group meeting. So any father, any man who has something to share to the conversation, is a buffet. Have at it.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you all. Thank you so much.
Hey, don't feel by yourself because we got another panelist. He's shopping at the grocery store right now as we speak.
All right, there we go. The multitasking is real.
That's right. That's right.
How y'all doing? Good afternoon. Good night, everybody. 1 and 2, 8 o'clock.
What up, Tate?
How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Yeah, I see the topic. I just seen the topic. Is the topic is if there's not a problem, don't make any.
That's right.
Is that a topic? That's like a relationship topic. Cause I tell not all my females, but I always in my relationship, my woman was known to make a problem when there wasn't no problem. I'm just like, babe, we good, okay? Like we've been going through a whole 2 months, so good. Why you gotta come with a problem this morning? Like, come on, but nah, I've been doing good.
What's that? What?
What you say now?
Hey, Tay, let me let me build on that. So, I don't think that's just relationship, but I think that's larger than relationship. I think that goes both ways in relationship. Like you could be in a relationship and it's not really a problem, and the person ends up making a problem that they know becomes a trigger for you to, then next thing you know, y'all having some kind of problem. Even I heard some people even strategically plan to do that sometime. Now they know what to do to tick you, and then I remember back in the day we would like break up with the girl, let the girlfriend get mad at us right before Valentine's Day or Christmas, and we didn't get no gift, so they had to get no gift because if they mad at you, you don't gotta take them out for Valentine's Day because they're not talking to you, that kind of thing. And then you always can come. I've been accused of that once. I had a whole thing planned when I was young, boy, take for Valentine's and this and that. But then she got mad at me and said, I ain't, everybody getting their flowers and their roses. And I was like, you just didn't know. Today ain't Valentine's Day, it's Sunday. Valentine's Day is Monday. We was going to do our stuff on Monday. But that didn't happen. So we ain't doing that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. 2 weeks later, the Valentine's spirit was over. But hey, we was back together, so that's making them problems. That's not really a problem. And that happens very often. So I think that's a big relational thing that happens. And who deals with more relational situations than anybody else? Fathers. It's the relationship that you have with your children, the relationship that you have with their mother, the relationship you have with their grandparents, the relationship you have with the friends of theirs, or the friends of the friends of the friends of theirs. The relationship you have with your partner if you're not with your child's mother, and how that operates, and how they pushing you to do things with your child or for your child, or even pushing you away from doing things with your child, like even, and I'll say this, one of the biggest things is women have their way to be territorial, just like men do. So sometimes in a relationship, your woman can come and say, well, she's just doing this because of that, and do this and do that. And sometimes you have to realize and think, well, what's the best thing for you? What's the best thing to operate for you? Because I know that's your woman. You want to, y'all have what you have, but you got to also sometimes, think about what is going to be the best thing for you when you're in this relationship with her. That's not romantic. That's really co-parent. Co-parent is, I would make a new word, co-parentness. And how that's going to affect some of the things that happen. Because you could do that and lose your time. Next thing you know, you ain't seeing your kid. and that literally turned into another problem and a bigger problem when everything was cool initially. And sometimes you got to figure out if they want you just to come to their house, only you to pick up their kid, and you might feel some way, your girl might feel some way, but the reality is, what do you want to do? Do you want to see your kid, or you want to stand on business?
If I may
I don't,
jump in there, Ron, I think y'all. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jag. You good?
No, go ahead.
Oh, what I was saying is
No, I mean, Johnny, you
sometimes,
good. Go ahead, brother.
yeah, sometimes even when you don't even realize you're about to make something into something by just a conversation you're having with a person. And I tell this to a lot of my clients as well. This is a phrase I tell a lot of my clients. Don't allow your possible tomorrow to mess with your definite today. And they'll be like, that's easier said than done. I said, right now, you have time with your kids, whatever it may be. And she's telling you, oh, well, you ain't gonna get to see them because of X, Y, and Z. You about to do this. And she creating an unnecessary anxiety in you, which right now, she has no control over that. You control this, and you were saying it, one of y'all was saying it earlier. I think it was like one said, you can control how you react. You can't control what people do, but you can control what you do. So I tell people all the time, and one of the things that I've learned, even now with my adult kids, and this is something that I have had to work on not allowing to turn into something more, is when you don't hear from them the way you think you should. Um, and because you don't hear from them for a long time, when they finally get on the phone, you like, all right, stranger, it's the only time you call me when you need some money, huh? That's the only time you be thinking of your daddy, huh? And then all of a sudden, what was you just being in your feelings turns into them now being in disagreement and a potential argument unnecessarily, when the goal was really just about creating communication between you and your kids. And this is, I've had that happen. I ain't gonna even lie. That's happened to me with mine before. I just hang up on them. I just like, all right, bye. Like, and then I get off the phone. I was like, who the adult here? And I gotta remember, I'm the parent still. Even in them being adults, I'm still the parent. So I think that's one of the big things that we as men sometimes, in our macho-ness and our manliness at times, allow to happen, is turn big things that they need to be into something. And a lot of times it ain't even something that we want to do, but our pride plays a role in us turning that into something that it didn't have to be. And that's my
Johnny,
Johnny, but you know
Johnny,
what you just explained, Johnny? And that's, I think all of us get it. I think men do it with women, and women actually does it with children. And that's we call pulling rank, right? I think so. All of us pull rank, when it's
There you
convenient
go.
or whatever, or when it's uncomfortable to actually do so. And so you'll find that even with my kids, I think I almost messed up a whole vacation that I paid for. And I hadn't seen my son at that particular time, probably like maybe a good 2 years, like face to face or whatever. But he came up there, something occurred or whatever. It's a misunderstanding. But I took that misunderstanding and it was getting ready to. I'm like, this day one of the vacation, and was getting ready to really just blow this thing completely out of the water. And when I calmed down, then I was able to see the misunderstanding. And you got to always, and I tell every man in the world this, always arm yourself with an apology. That's what I learned to
Yes,
do.
sir.
And
Yes,
I
sir.
armed myself
That's a
with an
good
apology.
word right there.
Yeah, because he wasn't there. I can tell you, I'm like, well, Lionel, he where you used to be, and you were where you at. And so, if you're really gonna pull rank, try pulling rank with this apology you got. You got to go right.
I
And
like
so
that.
now I got to pull rank with an apology. And once I pulled rank with the apology, we hugged, and I did it in front of his, which is my granddaughter and his daughter, because I went off in front of him, and I think I didn't really realize until I pulled back, like, well, if you understand, you challenging this man, you challenging your son manhood in front of his daughter, who think he's the greatest thing in the world. You see how it work? And so see all the different peer pressures going on in one conversation, but I couldn't see all those different angles. And once I saw them, I'm like, you know what? The reason he act the way he acted and pushed back the way he did because it was a self-defense, because he wasn't defending himself, he was defending who he is to his daughter. And then I'm like, you have to get it go because you're supposed to be the defender of the whole family. And so just like I went off in front of him and front, on him in front of his daughter, I had to go back and apologize to him in front of his daughter. And we hugged. I apologized to her as well, and let her know that, you know what, things happen, but I had to let her see what it was for men to really apologize, even if she never saw a man apologize in her whole life. So that's was just one of the moments for me, and one of those moments I almost failed, but God just blessed me to really, catch back up on that.
Hey John, just to reiterate what Johnny was saying, and I think this is important, and I think it goes back to our conversation about child support could be a problem, but it's not really a problem. I think even when you say this whole thing, and I've heard this from older dads, old next generation dads, that they don't care if you talk to them or whatever. They don't care about that because they know you're always gonna come and you're gonna need them, and they're gonna be able to provide for you. So they don't get upset when you ain't talked to them in 6 months, but they call and say, "Hey, Daddy, my rent, I'm short on my rent," or things like that. And I'll tell you, because it becomes a part of that old mantra that I'm a provider for you. And you before you have to go look out in the street and get something from somebody else, you come to me because I'm the one that's supposed to take care of you. And some guys love that. I mean, I know I'm one of the people that if you call, I love that period. People call and they need, so how I probably would do and how I am would be about my kids. If they call and say anything, I'm saying, hey, let's get it done, let's make it happen. What you need, how you need it. Sometimes, but again, you got to make sure it's and again, when you're in the when you're in the tricky world, sometimes you got to make sure that's what it is, and that it comes out to the right.
Yeah, when you're in that
What'd you say?
co-parentness, when you're in that co-parentness,
Yeah, you got to make sure. Because even in the case, when you're in a place where your kid is of age to have a conversation with you and do what they need to do, like it ain't nothing more offensive to a dad. I think a lot of dads get very offended for the young minor kid to call and tell them something about something they need that is like very expensive and this and that, especially if they on paying child support, whatever. And I think that part becomes because you might feel like, well, where's that conversation? There should be another conversation, but you're not. You're sending a child to do the conversation and doing what happens and that and that. So
And
that can lend yourself to.
That's a common tactic, or that's a common tactic that a lot of parents use, where they send the child to communicate, because the child's going to pull at your fatherhood strings, so to speak. And you're right. There's some topics can be done between the adults, but of course
tell your mama, tell your daddy. I call it tell your mama, tell your daddy.
There we go. But my favorite word, feelings. There are some people, the feelings last for years, and as soon as the name is brought up, the feelings go back, automatically goes in, right? And that's why they always say, I think I heard it years ago, that if someone breaks up with you or divorce, and it's a clean breakup, the feelings are gone. But if it's not a clean cut, so to speak, the feelings will always be there 10, 20, 30 years later. So it's that feelings thing is always, it's a very dangerous thing. It always comes up in many situations.
and could a lot of time lend to you not necessarily being able to truly not let something grow that has nothing to do that had nothing to do with right now, but everything to do with yesteryear. You know what I'm saying? Like Rohan just said, a lot of it may be out of anger from the past that you just turned, and sometimes it's with your kids. You could be co-parenting now, but the divorce didn't go right. So then all of a sudden you lose it on the kid because they did or behaved or did something that reminded you of the parent that you're no longer with, that things didn't go right. So it turned from nothing into something, and then you, as Lionel so eloquently said, you realize God gave you that clarity, and you're like, oh man, all right, I didn't have to let that get to that point. And now you're figuring, because you've already said things or made them actions that are very hurtful. Now you got to go fix it. And now it's more work because you reacted out of something that had nothing to do with right now, but everything that had to do with the past. So I think that's something that we all do when you're going through certain situations. But as fathers, we always got to be mindful of how our behavior impacts the way our children look at us, how they respect us, and how they behave. Because if they see us react in a certain way over certain things, they then think, oh, it's okay to do it too because daddy did it. And the daddy I know, he just don't do stuff unless it's something that's worthwhile. That's why when Lionel apologized, it was a big step not only for his son, but for his granddaughter to see him doing that. And I think that's a lot of times what happens with us as men. A lot of time it ain't got nothing to do with the situation right then, but something that happened in the past. But this reminds us of that. And we turn something that was nothing into something that's much bigger than it needed to be.
Wow. So true.
I guess, and we also got to keep in mind what happened when you don't like the woman your child loves. How do you balance that? You understand? And most of us find ourselves in that predicament. We don't like the woman that our child loves. And do we even take that into consideration? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, because if you put the shoes on the other foot, you understand? And your daddy told you he didn't like his mom. It's all him. I mean, my daddy tried something like that. He wasn't that, but he said something close to it. I don't even think of that deep, but he said something close to it, caused me not to talk to him for 2 years. And I told him I wasn't gonna talk. I'm like, boy, I ain't talking to you no more. That's that. Got back on that plane and ain't talked to him for 2 years. He'll tell you that. He's like, and you said that, you meant it too. I'm like, because for me, he didn't like, and I'm not saying he did because he always, he had him and my mom. My mom is my mom, so she is. I can't say she is that. She is that. What the women say, that chick. I give her that. But regardless, she's still my mom. And so he may have not liked at that particular time in his life the woman I love, and we have to put that into consideration because even if your child don't even express nothing to you, your child is going to already put an action plan in place to try to see how they're going to deal with that. And if that's literally resenting you and cutting you off, that's where all of that is going to come from. And so we got to be very mindful about not liking the woman, the very woman that our children love.
Or the man.
No, absolutely, yeah, because it works vice versa, because it's particularly for girls. Yeah, correct.
I learned to ignore. That's my specialty. I just ignore. Like I learned to, when you go through a lot, you just learn to, like, when your daughter or your son like the woman that you can't stand, I just ignore. Like I ignore her. Only thing we we try to talk about is the kids, but of course sometimes the conversation go elsewhere. But all those little antics and things, I ignore. That's all, honestly. That's how I deal with it.
But if you ignore, if you're driving the car down the street and the brakes is making the noise, and you just mentioned you ignore. What happens when you ignore?
So that's different because that mean if you put it that way, that mean like she in the car with you. Like I ignore to make sure they not in the car with me. They not around me for that long.
Hmm.
I keep my distance. So if I'm in the car and the brakes in the car on side of me keep going off in this game, it's getting aggravating. I know they need to change their brakes. I just go to the next lane or I just speed up. You
No,
know.
he talking about your brakes. He talking about your brakes in your car making a noise, which I
That's
think was an incredible analogy.
Hey, I know what he's saying, but I don't. What I'm saying is that I try not to put myself in that position to the point where it's like it's right there. Like no, I learned to ignore. So I try to like separate myself as best as possible. You know. So that's the best way I put it when it comes to that
How old are you,
situation.
bro? How old are you?
That's 32.
Okay. So one of the things that living is going to teach you is a lot of times people, as they use the term, stick their head in the sand, thinking that the issue is going to go away, and it never does. And ultimately, even if you don't like that person that they're with, let's say they end up being with the person for a very long time. That means every time you're around your child and that person is present, you're going to be, for lack of a better term, uncomfortable, or you won't necessarily be yourself, or you won't be relaxed because you just ignoring the person. And I can guarantee you that your child or the other person is seeing that you are different. Your spirit is different. Your vibe is different when this person comes around. So it then impacts their willingness to be in your space because they're now like, all right, well, I know daddy ain't feeling her. So it don't make no sense for me to even go over there and try to hang out with him, even though I ain't seen him in a while. I'll just wait till maybe she ain't around. But that may never be. So now it impacts your relationship with
Yes.
your child, not because they want it that way, but because they've noticed you haven't said anything where even if you said, son, I don't like that girl. I don't think she's good for you. I think you need to leave her alone. Then we can have some open dialogue. Okay, daddy, why you don't like her? What is it about her that you don't like? Maybe we can have a sit down. Maybe we need some therapy, daddy, as a family. Because she gonna be in my life and we gotta deal with this situation. And I wanna be your son and be around you. But if you're not gonna love on her, I can't come here. So now you end up losing out on a relationship with your child because you ain't feeling their significant other. And I think that's one of the things that again, that like I mentioned earlier, that pride thing that we have as men that will force us to turn something small into something big. But that's
I,
just my
I
two
thought I
cents.
thought you meant I thought you were saying as in the baby mama. I thought you meant that. I didn't know you meant like my actual son, fiance, a girl, or my daughter, fiance or guy. See, I
But
ain't, I
even
ain't,
if
I
you're
ain't, I
ignoring,
ain't, I ain't, I ain't. My kids ain't even 10 years old, so I ain't got to go through that. Y'all can
but
handle that.
thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus.
Y'all
What's
can handle
the
that. Y'all can
when you
handle that.
talk about when you
Well,
talk
well,
about
well,
ignoring?
but there is, but there is this part of when the kids are young, and I think about the last time I think I
I
experienced
see, baby.
something like that, where everybody was there. I was there. They was there. Their parent, the other parent was there. The other parents' partner was there, and it almost seemed like a very tense situation, right? And so in that situation of it seeming and looking kind of tense, it was almost a point where like, hey, for me, my natural instinct is to behave, fall back, brother. Because it was also at a place that had a lot of emotion. It was at like a funeral, memorial. So here you're at this memorial, and you got all this going on, and it really becomes this thing of where you have to say to yourself, and then it almost feels like you're hurting your child because you're not really going and talking to them, whatever, because it would only take the idea of something being said because everybody emotions is high, not just you, but everybody there, right? And so you find yourself, but then you have to be careful because that sets up a narrative. It can set up a narrative that can continue a narrative that will be on you and not on them. So you have to always be thinking about when we leave the house, we look in the mirror. Some of us look in the mirror.
See,
We say how my hair look, and sometimes in our relationships with whoever it is, we sometimes have to look at how we look. I know when we're with people that we don't care too much for, one of the things we say, I don't care how I look to them. They're not important. But sometimes they control the lens of other people who see you. Right? A lot of times if they're the custodial parent, your child sees you only through the lens of that person. So when you might make something an issue, your child's gonna make some parents don't have no like I say boundaries. Some parents don't have boundaries. They don't have no place to where the child place is here. Sometimes the child place is sitting next to them talking about the issue that they have with you directly to the child. Now, how does that child turn around and how that child able to communicate with you? Because the line has, sometimes the line been drawn in the sand. You put this child in a position where they figure, well, where I got to eat tonight, right? Where I stay at. So I got to make sure I have my place to stay and eat. So I love you, Daddy, but I'm going with my mama. I love you, mama. I'm gonna go with my daddy. It's just the reality, and we have to be, as I think the person who is on the end of that, man or woman, realizing that even if the other parent not, we have to realize that, and sometimes do the pivot. We have to make the pivots that we're going to make, and it might be hard because sometimes the people still got a knife ready to jug you. Every time that you make a turn, they got jug. Every time they got it. For whatever reason, and you just gotta have enough band-aids. And, you gotta keep on putting band-aids and keep on moving.
I had this problem with well, I kind of still got it a little bit, but I had this problem with my with my ex and my mom, and it's kind of still now. Like for some reason, the ex, my mom, or the baby mom, or whatever the case, the child's mother, my mom shouldn't like is the one that she likes, and the one that she does like, you know what I'm saying, is the one that she should like is the one that she doesn't like. The one that she doesn't like, the one that she should like. So how I approach it is that I was spoken to my mom. Like once I got like hair on my chest and things like that, I started speaking back to my mom honestly. And so even with now, like I just try to have a conversation with my mom where anytime there's a problem, I go and I talk to her. So she doesn't like one of my exes, one of my child's parent who I used to be with for the most part, and I didn't understand. But I told mom, hey mom, I'm your son, you're my mother. I told both of them. The number one thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to both of guys not going to be disrespectful. Because my thing is I start talking to both of y'all. Like my mom gonna be my mom. Like we can rekindle. You my child's mother. We can rekindle whatever, but it's always going to be respect. And I had that with them, and it was cordial. But then I had another situation where my best friend mom didn't like my ex, and that was the most grumpiest lady I ever met in my life. I've never met somebody so grumpy than that lady. Never. Like, and she was a liar. I see, son. So I understand. Like, if it's that situation, yeah, I had that situation. I just told my mom, told my ex, can they, can at least coexist with each other? When you walk in either y'all walk in the house. My mom don't come to my house because I have too many stairs to get in my apartment. I have too many stairs, so she doesn't come. But when we go over there, hey, talk to my mom, talk back. If not, I will exit because y'all don't have to coexist. Y'all don't have to talk while y'all here. Y'all just have to coexist. Just have the respect to acknowledge each other, and that's it. If not, I don't believe in the taking sides thing. Like, even though it's my mom, always gotta take my mom's side, or if it's my fiance, always take her aside. Like I would, if my mom don't speak, I'll leave the house. My mom, when you get a little bit more mature, we'll come back. If my girl got a problem, like yeah, you my girl, like I don't have to deal with you. I know some is married, whatever the case may be. My thing is I don't have to deal with you. So disrespect. That's the bottom line with me. Disrespect. Coexist. That's all.
So when the problem comes between your woman and your mom, who sit in the front seat, you let your woman drive and you sit in the back seat, right?
No. So I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up. So with me, right? So 9 times out of 10 I'm driving. But see, not luckily, dang, I say luckily. My mom was kind of handicapped, kind of. So my mom automatically get the front seat. If my girl would ever in her life say otherwise, she probably would get broken up right then and there. And that's only because of my mom's situation with her health and her weight. She's going unless it's well, in some cases being in the back seat is good because you can lift the front seat up, but whoever's it's all gonna matter whoever's comfortable. Like my mom, if she's comfortable in the back seat, she's getting in the back seat. Now, if my mom was like, if she was I want to say more healthy, then depends on where we going. They got to figure that out. Like if we're gonna drop my mom off, she's gonna get in the back, or if we going somewhere very specific, then she's getting. I don't know. Like I don't. I'm glad I had to go through that because, like I said, my mom handicapped, so most likely she gets in the back or she gets in the front. Depends on the type of vehicle we in. But I wish my girl would though. That's all I gotta say about that. I wish she would.
You mentioned the word respect, and I thought respect respect is respect me or respect. Can both of you respect each other? How do you look at that? Because respect is a word I hear a lot.
Well, respect me to the point where y'all could coexist, as I may say. I think that just respect me to the point where y'all can coexist. I think, like I said, they don't have to talk. They don't. They once you get in there, y'all acknowledge each other. It could be a wave or whatever, and after that, y'all ain't gotta talk no more. But at least coexist. You know what I mean? And I think, and that's what I mean about respect. Respect me enough to coexist with someone I love. Someone that's not going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? At all. I'm hoping both of y'all don't go nowhere. But it's times I stopped talking to my mom because my mom know who I am. I stopped showing up. My mom knows like just because you my mom, you don't get no leeway because you're not gonna damage or you're not gonna stop me or affect anything that's gonna be good in my life. Because sometimes if we honest, parents are just I don't know. I think parents just take things too far. Definitely with their mouth. They take things too far and um, a girl who my mom like, one of my exes from middle school who my mom like now, I don't understand why she like her so much. She still call her daughter-in-law. I don't understand because I don't know, but that's just who my mom
So
like.
you let go of her years ago.
Man, that's like man, we still cool now, but that's like middle school, man. High school, and I've been out of high school for like 15 years now. My mom still call her, but she cool, but it's just like I don't know. I don't know when my mom like that little girl, but that's she call her daughter-in-law. You know, I don't know. I don't know.
That's one of those. That's one of those situations that we can allow to turn into something big that we don't have to. If that's what mom likes, and she find comfort talking to her, she find familiarity talking to her, she finds history. She, Probably when she sees her, she remembers when you was just a little boy. It's a good time. And
Yeah,
as a result, she's able to, and she feels comfortable communicating with her that way. But I'll just say, don't allow it to turn into something bigger because mom likes talking to her. If that's what mom like, that's what mom like. But I definitely love the topic tonight, Ron, just because there's so many ways you can go with this, not just in your own fatherhood, but even when he was talking about parents being could be out go out they mouth crazy sometimes or say stuff to you like you still a little baby because they forget you're the adult now. So sometimes you got to remind them I am an adult and but again, never allow it to get to the point where it turns into something negative and blows up. But when we talk about that aspect, it goes so far. Ron, when you were talking about what is it? They create their perspective through the eye of the other parent. Is that what you said, Ron? I don't want to misquote you,
What
but you were
happens
talking
is,
about how.
yeah, well, I mean, what I'm talking about is a lot of times the narrative about you and how you operate and what things come through the parent who they hear either talk about you with other people or talk about you and like, yo, I don't have a very strong opinion about my dad based on my childhood, right? Because my mother,
Yeah.
for one, could not say very much about him because she didn't have the means, right? She couldn't say he liked this, he liked that. All she could just say is that he lived there because they were teenagers who, had a
Yeah.
child in teenage time. They didn't really like have a long term 6 or 7 year relationship. And so even today was so profound about it. And today is that they don't really know each other like I know them, right? So I can tell my dad something about my mom, and he'd be like, "Well, I don't know, because I really don't know her like that." My mom could, sometimes she has an opinion. She thinks she knows my dad the way she thinks she knows him, but absolutely incorrect. She doesn't really know him because I got to know him, and the narrative that she had for him is way different than the true narrative of who he is and what he's about. And that's important. And think about young, impressionable, developing minds, what the information they're getting about their father or their mother and all this time really sets the tone on how they are connected or not connected to that person. And then not until they get their opportunity to experience the person themselves, and then they might can change that narrative.
Correct, which is why it's important for us as the adults when you're dealing with those type of scenarios is to be reminded of that situation, that this child's perspective of who you are is being created by this other parent this other individual. So as a result, when something is said by that child or done by that child to you or around you, it's so easy for us as men to forget again the child's perspective. So we got to step back and be like, okay, they don't really know me. They don't know me the way they should. So before I lose my mind here and go crazy on them, let me step back and keep my mouth closed and not allow it to turn into something that it didn't have to. I hope that makes sense to y'all.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Let me say that I know we're getting ready to come up on close to the end. I wanted to throw a couple of things out as I and before you slide off of here again, because I know you'll slide right on off the stage. Uh, I want us to, as we do this, I want to go right into acknowledging our sponsors for the day. Jag, attorney at law, Miami-Dade, Broward, West Palm Beach. Jag is one of the primary sponsors of the Fatherhood Think Tank at this time. Jag is the attorney Esquire Johnny A. Gaspar. You can reach him at jgaspar at jag1law.com. His number is 305 827 8087. Don't call for no fake prank calls. Tell him he's making it in the second round of the NFL draft because he probably won't be. He won't believe that.
You feel
But he will. He will have. I'm sure he'll have a consult with you about your legal issues that you have. And if he can't help you, I'm sure he'll refer you to some other very experienced attorneys like himself. So I just wanted to, again, our sponsor of the Fatherhood Think Tank, JAG attorney at law. So I like to always get that. And then our other sponsor, let me just say this also, our other sponsor of the Fatherhood Think Tank is Vic's Locksmith Service. He's servicing all of South Florida. You can catch up with Vincent. His number is 754-245-4090. He's handling all of your, lockouts, key cutting, roadside assistance, jump starts, tire changes, gas. He basically got his own private AAA, so you can always check in with him. Another key sponsor of the Fatherhood Think Tank. I always want to make sure I get those sponsors highlighted on here because, and though they are members of the Fatherhood Think Tank, so that's the other great aspect of it all. And as we're here, I just want to say I know that there's fathers out there who are looking for some employment. So if you are watching the show and you have some employment opportunities in South Florida, that's Broward, Dade, West Palm Beach. Definitely drop a note on the page. If you have those jobs, you can hit me up personally, and I'll share that on our app, our band app. Band app is there. Also, you can definitely go and join the band app if you want to have information down at the bottom of the screen. The band app is. You can go to the band app and join, and you will get all the information about the Fatherhood Think Tank. I just wanted to make sure I got all that commercial stuff in tonight. Sometimes we get so busy in the conversation. It's hard when you change from just being a little conversation corner thing. You don't think about the advertising that you need to do and make sure you get everybody information. And also that support that we're looking to always support fathers in the South Florida area. So right now, and even if any guys on here, any jobs out there, fathers are looking for jobs. And that's a big part of what we want to be able to do, be that net and that network for fathers to be able to get what they need to get. Let me come back from out of this commercial break and ask brothers, do they, have any final words about tonight's topic or anything they want to share with the audience?
I do. So about the jobs, I definitely would like if y'all help. That could definitely help me at the moment. I'm going through a position change, so I definitely would love if somebody could come up. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at my son play on these stairs. But yeah, I definitely need help with that, But other than that, I know I got on late, and wish I would have got on earlier, to talk more about the topic. But other than that, there's a couple spiritual people on here, just keep me in y'all prayers, People go through life, people go through things, and things like this. I didn't know what I was going to do tonight, and I was just sitting here talking to my brother a little bit, and I was just like, you know what? Let me just calm my nerves and just hop on this. You know what I mean? So if not, there's no telling what would have been, going on. Not nothing like I'm not like a criminal or anything like that, but just there's just things that goes on that people want you to react to, but you gotta try hard not to react. So other than that, man, I know everybody gonna have a good night tonight. Well, we're gonna have a good night, but yeah.
I definitely want to reiterate what Tay said. This is for that purpose. It ain't really just for us men get on here and yap and jap and what have you. It's actually a place where trying to make that kind of place where fathers can come, listen to some thoughts and ideas around different topics, but also be able to say what Tay said, that I need to go to this place to talk to some people that is a safe place for a father, for a man, and not for somebody to have sympathy for me, but someone who can empathize with me. Because there's a big difference, between people who, I feel sorry for you. We're not here to feel sorry for you. We understand. There's somebody in the group who's going to understand exactly what you going through. So they not feeling sorry for you. They empathizing, and they might even have some solutions, some ideas on how you can change some of that. So again, join us out there, fathers, if you're interested and you want to just, and you don't have to feel like, oh, I got to be committed to stay on for the 90 minutes. Come in 15 minutes, come in for a minute, come in, ask your question, and then say I got to get up out of here. We cool with that, because that one question might spark a whole thing that helps 6 other people that's not here but just listening out in YouTube and Facebook land. So let me just put that back in the air. Anything else from anybody else?
Yeah, I want to say a quick one to fathers and fathers, parents, and all of us in the society. I used a word earlier in the class: stop. That word, whenever you're in a situation, and some situations are not yours, but it's as we said, it's in front of you. Before you make a decision, stop. Just stop and think, observe, and proceed, and see what's the right decision I'm going to make based off this situation that I'm in. Just remember that word, stop. It can help you make the right decision. Look left, look right, look left again. Food for thought.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on Tay's situation. Tay just took the first step. The first step it takes to being powerful. You know what that step is, Tay?
What is it?
Being vulnerable.
Yeah.
You will never be powerful unless you learn how to be vulnerable. And you just took the first step it takes to be powerful. So you're absolutely on your way to being powerful again. And so don't think that this is it. This is just the beginning.
Appreciate that.
No doubt, fam.
All right. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and get to our chant. We've been working on it, trying to get it up to par, so it's not rusty as it's been. But I think that we're coming right on forth. So I would say, Father, repeat after me. I am.
I am.
I am.
I
I
am.
am.
I am a man of honor.
I am a man of honor.
I say I am.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am a man of courage.
I am.
I am a man of courage.
I say, fathers, I am.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am a man of courage.
I am a
I am
man
a
of
man of courage.
I say, fathers, I said that. Did I say courage?
I am a man of respect. You forgot.
I am a man of respect. See, even I am a man of respect. I say, fathers, I am.
I am.
I am.
I say that you are.
You
You
are.
are.
I say that we are.
We
We
are.
are.
Championship fathers.
Championship fathers.
Right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I like that, Tay. I like that.
Killing this dang thing, man. I gotta remind myself.
There you go, bro. There you go.
We love
Big
you
Ron,
guys.
we don't have to write the chant down, Ron. Yeah, just put it up on your screen, write it down somewhere.
No,
So you ain't gonna.
I'm gonna get it. I mean, I just was thinking about something that I was looking. I'm saying it in my head. I'm just saying, probably saying it.
It's all
It's been
good,
a long,
dog. It's all good.
long
Yeah.
day of testing, brother. Long day of testing. So,
Y'all
again,
have a
thanks
blessed
everybody for
day.
joining. We want to definitely welcome you here back next week. And I also want to invite you that if depending on what you're doing on Thursday night, come on back to the platform. Black Marriage and Family will be in our topic on Thursday night is asking a question about if marriage was to be canceled and you had to start over, would you remarry the person you married to today? So that's just a little bit of some of the stuff we'll be talking about. Black Marriage and Family on Thursday night here on the platform, so you can definitely join us if you like. But without a doubt, be here back next week. If you're watching this right now, make sure you like, share, subscribe to the channel so we can get more people in here and get some of this knowledge for Fatherhood Think Tank. With that being said, thank you for joining us and good night.
Take care now.
All right now.